that is also a little secret to the success of our live shows with ArnoCorps is that crowd interaction. We are not shy. We get out there, meet and greet as many people in the crowd as we can before, because we're a rescue team. Mm-hmm. We're all on the same team. We want to make sure that they know for that night they are part of ArnoCorps.
Hello, welcome to the Season 1 finale of 3 Gigs, the podcast that tells the stories of 3 shows that have had a profound effect on a performer's life and career. Their first show, their worst show, and their best show. I'm your host, Dominic Tavy, and today we shall tell stories of high adventure as we sit down with Holzfeuer, founder and lead vocalist of ArnoCorps. This episode of 3 Gigs is brought to you by FreshCleanTees.com. It works like a shave club, but they send you t-shirts, super awesome t-shirts. And they have a special offer for all the listeners of 3 Gigs. Save 20% off your first order by going to FreshCleanTees.com and entering the coupon code GIG at checkout. That's FreshCleanTees.com with offer code GIG. Holzfeuer and his group of Austrian commandos, ArnoCorps, are the stuff of myth and legend. ArnoCorps combines a militaristic appearance with a musical style rooted in skate punk and heavy metal. Describing their music as action-adventure hardcore rock and roll, the focus of the band is on energetic live performances with high levels of interaction with their audience. Attendees and fans are referred to by the band as goddamn heroes and sheroes. And they often perform with 2 bass players in their lineup, an arrangement that they refer to as heroic symmetry. First appearing in America in 2000, ArnoCorps released 2 self-produced EPs in 2000 and 2001, and they quickly built a fan base both in America and in Europe. The band's full-length album was announced for release in 2005 and was called The Greatest Band of All Time. British metal label Anti-Culture Records released the album in UK and Europe in February 2006. Now, after receiving critical praise in British magazines such as Metal Hammer and Total Guitar, along with mainstream radio airplay on BBC Radio 1, ArnoCorps headlined tours of the UK and Ireland and has been doing so every year ever since. The first tour earned the band a 10 out of 10 rating from BBC for a performance in Manchester, England, and an appearance on a commercial radio station, Kerrang 105.2, and a rave review of their London show in October 2006 issue of Bazaar. In 2008, ArnoCorps was voted the best San Francisco rock band by readers of SF Weekly. As of 2013, ArnoCorps has now found a home on Alternative Tentacles Records, reissuing copies of the Ballsy EP, the Fantastic EP, and their LP, The Greatest Band of All Time, and releasing a brand new 7-inch, 2 more, and now a brand new EP, The Unbelievable, in stores everywhere on August 25th, 2017. Now, just returning from his highly successful UK tour, Holzfeuer spoke to us about his band and the 3 shows that have affected him most. He is epic, and I think you'll enjoy this episode a lot. So sit back and enjoy tales of action-adventure hardcore rock and roll, starting with Holzfeuer's first show ever.
Let me tell you, the first show, I think this would be the case with all performers, no matter what medium that you perform in, that you've probably been performing in one way or another your whole life from childhood. Because I could think back even as a young boy, entertaining, my neighbors, or when my younger sisters were born, I was constantly doing shows for them and entertaining them. So, and then when I'm in school, and then there are talent contests, I would always participate. I would have my friends, and we would create some type of performance. So that is, for me, it's very hard to say, all right, what is your first show? I'm thinking my very first show was probably when I appeared out of my mother. Come on, go! I'm imagining in my head that I was wearing my sunglasses, smoking a goddamn stogie as soon as it came out. Maybe even wearing combat boots. But with that said, I want to fast forward in particular, if we're going to talk about the first. I would like to tell a story of the very first ArnoCorps performance in California. Perfect. That is the time that I would, because that is the most relevant to the path that I am on now and who I am still performing with to this day. So the very first United States performance, ArnoCorps. This was in February of 2001. And we had prepared for a whole year before that first show, writing our music, translating it from the ancient Alpine folklore that had been bastardized. This was our intent from the very beginning. We have all these ancient tales of heroism, Alpine folklore that had been exploited. It had been bastardized. And they had turned all these fantastic hero tales into movies, blockbuster action films. Bullshit. So we came out of the gate. How fantastic, how important is it for us to represent these stories in a new context for an audience that never would have thought of these stories in that way? So change it. If you take one thing, present it with different context. Dominic, I always tell everybody, context is everything. Context changes the meaning of everything. That is my philosophy, and that is the approach behind ArnoCorps. So we began writing these songs. I had, of course, assembled an unbelievable group of some musicians that had been in bands before, but the majority, half of the band, had never even played a single show before. That was ArnoCorps in the beginning. We're in the garage writing songs such as Predator, Running Man, Commando, Total Recall. We are writing these songs. And word was already getting out. Even out there, we were practicing in a garage in this little town in the East Bay, far East Bay, called Antioch. Even though none of us lived there at the time, it was a location that we could use for free, a garage out there. Mm-hmm. So we would all travel. At the time, I lived in San Jose. It was in the South Bay. We were all over. We had members in San Fantastic. We had members in Oakland. We would meet in this garage out in Antioch because, come on, we had no budget. And so we would rehearse, write, and we were creating something special. And we knew from the onset, we are doing something nobody has done before. We were very conscious of the fact. In fact, that was not just a side effect. That was actually our motivation. We wanted to play, because by this time, right at the turn of the century, at 2000, the scene in the East Bay, in the whole Bay Area, had changed so much. From the time after Green Day and Rancid get signed to majors and all this, and then suddenly MTV changed, the Warped Tour. It changed. We noticed it changed a philosophy and approach that the underground bands were taking when they were performing. We always noticed that it seemed like they were trying to write what would be commercially viable. People are going on trends. Like, oh, this is cool now, so we're going to write a new record that sounds like this or that. And we sat back and we're like, this is bullshit. Nobody is trying to innovate anymore. They were trying to recreate the magic that had happened 6 years earlier. And this is all bullshit in our view. So I'm thinking, we're going to come on to the scene with something entirely new. We're going to be new faces even. Nobody's even seen us before. But we were hiding in the shadows for a long time, looking at what was happening. Of course, I had come from Austria. And, you know, when you hear the ballsy accent, what are you going to do? You're going to try to hide it, try to conform to try to sound like a California, or do you embrace the way you sound in the music? I am the vocalist of ArnoCorps, so we're going to showcase it. That is the way I sound. I'm from Austria. We're taking back ancient folklore from Austria that was bastardized, exploited in Hollywood. So, Dominic, you're wondering, we're building up for a year. How do we approach the first audio assault? Well, we booked it at 924 Gilman Street.
Really? I didn't know that.
That you did not know. That was the very first show, Gilman Street. So, which is timely because of course, as you know, there's a documentary out now that puts a lot of focus on all of the bands that have developed and come out of Gilman Street. And of course, we are a later generation. So, we booked the show. Our drummer, Eric Nagelbert, who is now our guitar player, he booked the show. He knew somebody that knew somebody. And so we get in the bill, but of course, nobody's heard of ArnoCorps. Who the fuck is ArnoCorps? So they put us as the openers. And it was a 4-band bill, as usual, on I believe it was Saturday. I think they were only doing shows Saturday back then. Maybe Fridays, too. I don't remember. Could you remember back then, were they doing Fridays and Saturdays, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, they do shows whenever.
They do shows whenever.
Anyway, so we booked it. We made sure that ArnoCorps is on the list, Steve list, right? Mm-hmm. Which is where we would always still look to find out where the policy shows are going on. So Steve always would put touring bands, he would put a parentheses after the name to say where they're from. So ArnoCorps, even though I had moved here, I had been living here for over a year at the time, we said, hey, come on. This is a little secret for the bands out there trying to make a name for yourself. Hype! You got to hype yourself. You got to take whatever angle you can. And so we told them, we're ArnoCorps from Austria, and we are on tour right now. So we want to make sure you put on the list ArnoCorps, and then in parentheses after, Austria. So of course he did. He's not going to question that because we're complete unknowns. So it says there on the list, the first ArnoCorps show, ArnoCorps, Austria. And people start wondering, who the fuck are these guys on tour? And if they're on tour, are they from Austria? Why are they playing first at Gilman Street? Usually they would get a later spot, like main support or something. Well, the other thing we were working on in parallel at the time, our website, of course, the late 90s, early 2000s, the internet was becoming more a part of people's lives, which, you know, it wasn't just even 5 years earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It was becoming something new. So we built up ArnoCorps.com, and we put on this website a fucking 10-page history of the band. We had mythologized my entire past history that I had. Sure enough, before our very first show, we get hit by the press just from having our website out there. But of course, the internet wasn't as crowded as it is now. There was no YouTube yet. We got contacted by a bodybuilding magazine, Flex Magazine, and they did a story on ArnoCorps before we had even performed yet. And we're like, holy shit, what is going on right now?
That's amazing.
It was wild. And we had only recorded a 4-track demo that we put online for free download. We just hit these MP3s. We said, let's be pioneering. From the start, ArnoCorps always wanted to rethink everything. We were like, let's not sell CDs. Let's put out MP3s online. People download them for free. Fuck it. Let's put it out there. And that was a demo. But of course, there were people still not on the internet. So we recorded some CDRs and we would just pass them around. So, as you can imagine, by the time February 2000 comes around, like 3 months after we had booked the show, our name is on the list, we started putting flyers all over. In the flyer, it was just our ballsy symmetrical symbol, the logo of ArnoCorps, big and bold. Underneath, it's just a symbol. It just said ArnoCorps, nothing else. We don't mention the other bands. We don't mention nothing. It just says ArnoCorps and the date, and it says first United States performance ever. And then at the very small at the bottom, it says, get your ass to Mars. And it was then the URL, ArnoCorps.com. And that's what we did. We knew that if we were going to do this, we didn't know this might only be our one show that we ever do It didn't matter. We were putting all our eggs in that basket. We were saying, you know what, we're going to come out of the gate and we're going to do something that for the crowd that is in attendance, they're going to talk about it. They're going to talk about what they witnessed and share the stories, pass them down, just like what we were inspired by, the ancient folklore passed down in the alpine regions of Austria around campfires up there. So,
amazing.
We are booked. The headliner is the Hellbillies. I believe support with, I can't remember all the bands because, of course, we were focused on ourselves at that time.
I understand.
Divot, the one band Divot was on that bill, and the Hellbillies, one of the bands. But ArnoCorps playing this. We show up. We are, of course, already wearing our uniforms that we are known for, black BDU fatigues. Mm-hmm. We didn't have the face paint yet on our faces. That came later. But we show up very militant looking. This projected this feeling of these guys are in a uniform. That implies this feeling of something is going down. And then we bring our cabinets into the room. There's already people gathering around because the curiosity, we had built up the curiosity. We're rolling our cabinets and it has emblazoned right on the front our symbol. Now the name, it doesn't seem just like the A and C, which is an abstract. You've seen the symbol before.
Of course.
It's a symmetrical shape, but it's very powerful. And it has a sort of a militant feel to it when you look at it. It's imposing. So we're carting in our equipment, which is all branded. We're putting it on stage. Mind you, we've never performed before. We've never done anything, but we were acting like we're getting in there. This group, I had performed before with other band members in Austria and all that, but that's a whole different story. But this group, we had never performed together before on stage, but we were acting like this very band had been around already for 10 years. We were getting in there feeling so confident, so pumped. And we knew we were breaking all the rules. And we decided, hey, we're the openers, but fuck it. We're going to have a fog machine. We're going to build the room, get some smoke going, and over the PA, the chopper, a helicopter sound. As we're heading up the stage, smoke filled, a helicopter sounding over the PA, so loud. And it is the most packed I have seen Gilman Street for the opener. Typically, Gilman Street, the first band is playing, everyone is outside, up front, on the side.
That's true.
They haven't even got there yet.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
When you open at Gilman Street, typically, you accept the fact you're going to be playing to 25 people, something like that. No big deal.
If you're
but
lucky.
Not with us. Exactly. Sometimes I've seen far fewer with bands opening up there that just took the traditional approach, book your band, show up and play. But that was not our way. We knew that we could determine our own fate on that night because I've always taken the approach, maybe this is the last show I'm ever going to perform. I still take that approach to this day. So that first show, maybe it's my last. Maybe it's our last, this beautiful group that I had formed. In fact, the guitar player, Hal Stoker, we had a female guitar player in the beginning. I had just married her 2 months before our first show together.
Oh, wow.
So we are newlyweds. That is something people didn't even realize. We're on stage, we're newlyweds. We just get married, and we're about to perform a show together with a band that we had formed together. So we're up there, we're pumped. The whole place is packed. It's funny. Someone has video footage. Someone filmed it from the sound booth in the back, all the way to the back door. It is full for ArnoCorps' very first show. People are already screaming and all this. We play our first song, Predator. I tackle Toten Adler, a bass player. Oh, we ended the song, and there's part of you in the back of your mind when you finish a song that you wonder, will it be silence? Will it be polite applause? Mm-hmm. The end of a very first song, first show ever, eruption. It sounded like 1,000 people in there. Just, and people loved it right off the bat. and from that just energized us, and we continued through a whole set, and we completed it, and people were chanting ArnoCorps. This is our very first show, Dominic.
It's
and
amazing.
The message, this is not meant to be bragging. It has nothing to do with necessarily how good we were. What it has to do with is how we prepared, that we decided for ourselves that we were going to have a special experience that night. And we did whatever was within our grasp to do that. And, we had lots at our disposal at that time with flyery. That was still really big then, where you could fly up poles all over the Bay Area.
It should still be big. It should be big, and people don't do it.
Well, for a while they cracked down with fines, and that is what I noticed killed it. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they still do the fines, but they started fining bands, not just the venue, but the bands themselves. So people got scared, and they backed off of the flyering. But at the same time that they started doing fines for flyering in some areas, of course, other areas it didn't matter. But at the same time, social media had started. We had MySpace had come up, and it unfortunately had replaced flyering. But for us, we did both. We didn't have social media yet, but we had the internet, and we did our own ArnoCorps website, and we also went on any relevant forums. Like there was a Yahoo group for East Bay Punk. There was a Yahoo, I forget the name of it, but it was a Yahoo group. So we, of course, posted on there before our first show. We posted everywhere. We wanted to make sure that we created not only an experience for ArnoCorps members, but for the crowd, the people in the audience. And we achieved it. It was pure pump. So I encourage any new bands coming out, or even a band that's been around forever, there's always an opportunity to reinvent yourself, to take yourselves to the next goddamn level, let me tell you. And I don't care what your motivation is in terms of success. How do you define success? Because ArnoCorps never had interest in monetary gain. All of us, we were always interested in pure experience, creating an experience that you cannot put a price tag on and leave a mark that people are talking about ArnoCorps for generations after. That has always been our primary motivation. And that has been freeing, the fact that we don't care about the money side. So we can make lots of stupid choices for the art. For example, when we put out the Ballsy EP, I had this vision for the packaging that had a booklet inside. This was a 6-song EP. It cost more per unit to produce than we could sell them for. Fuck it, I don't care. So we sell every Ballsy EP sold. We in the early days, they were sold at
a loss. That's crazy.
Exactly. But that was because we didn't fucking care. We wanted the art to come first. We're lucky that most of the members have established careers outside of music, also in creative endeavors and all that. So we weren't too worried about it. The ArnoCorps never needed to make money, but we wanted to make sure it left a mark, left experiences in people's minds. And let me tell you, when I look back at that very first show, I remember people coming up to us after we had performed. Of course, keep in mind we are completely unknown. And the guy in charge at the time of Spam Records, he comes up to me. That was amazing. You guys are fantastic. I want to put out your music on my record label, Spam Records. And we were like, fuck, we're getting asked to sign to a local label after a very fierce show. That is, for me, that was the award. We didn't care if we even get paid that night. That was a ball. In fact, that was Corbett Redford, the director, of course, that you have interviewed recently, right? For Turning It Around, the documentary.
Yeah, he was on the show.
He approached us. Yeah, he approached ArnoCorps after a very fierce performance.
Oh, that's amazing.
Ballsy.
So
that was the first show of ArnoCorps.
See, that's a fantastic story on multiple levels. But one of the things that I think that, like you said, that it points out the most, that I hope that people listening, and I know I have a lot of musicians, both professional and, starting out local musicians that listen to the show. I have to say that is such a big deal. Spike from Me First and the Gimme Gimmes talked about it, about, he mentioned it too, about the amount of effort that you put in to your art and your craft and how you make something a little bit more valuable. Of course, you can go there and get a show somewhere like at Gilman or the Phoenix Theater in Petaluma or whatever local club that you have in your town, the local bar, wherever you're going to play. And you can just have a show, you book it, you tell your friends about it, you show up. But like what
Which is fine.
It's
fine. If you want to take that approach.
It's fine.
Right. But I think so many times people will look at other bands and wonder why are they getting more attention than my band? And they won't get it. They'll think, and this happened to ArnoCorps all the time, other bands thinking that they were musically superior, total musos that are putting their heart 100% into the music. And they perform, but to empty crowds, and they would be jealous. They would be angry, resentful. Why is ArnoCorps over there jumping around on stage, going crazy and all that? But they're developing this following so fast. And I could never really at the time explain to them without being offensive. It's like you got to put in the effort in all areas.
Right. And it's also about, especially in the early days, I mean, honestly, I take that back. In every day, no matter where you are in your career, your shows should be an event. It should be something worthy of everybody coming out. And in the times that we live in now, like, it's even harder to make your band stand out and be something notable. So it's like, I tell everybody, like, treat your local shows. Don't play every chance you get. Like, plan each show purposefully and make it an event. You don't have to be, not all bands can be ArnoCorps, but at the same time, you can approach to something that's correct for your band and make your show an event and make it worthwhile for people to be there. Your friends will want to be there. Their friends will want to be there. And it's something special. It's not just a bunch of people standing on stage that look like they're waiting for a bus, playing music that they look bored playing. Like, I mean,
at this stage where ArnoCorps is now, we're not so much about. We do very little self-promotion now. We're not so much about trying to boost ourselves up, but we are still trying to create those amazing experiences. But additionally, we are trying to inspire. We are trying to motivate other bands and help the next generation. I am just praying to calm that when we are gone, there will be a band similar doing something just as intense, just as meaningful to themselves, and just as important that I can go in my older years and go watch, or my nephews can go see. That would be the ballsiest legacy for ArnoCorps if we could inspire. And I know we have inspired some of the bands when I hear us mentioned in interviews. God damn it, that pumps. I don't know if they realize how important that is to us, because that now, more than anything, probably is the goal for our legacy, is to influence and motivate and inspire. That is what we're pumped on now. So that's why this interview is perfect timing, because I could share some of this behind. I never told anybody that story before, what went into the first ArnoCorps show. Back at the time that it happened, we loved the mystique. We never revealed anything. We acted like, come on, it's all natural. It's all happening, pure, organic, right? We allowed the hype to create its own identity that helped define the band. And meanwhile, behind the scenes, the approach, the strategy, the things we were doing, I never talked about that until now. So it's cool to, at this point where we are, we could talk about this, and it doesn't really impact how we're perceived in a negative way at all. And I think as long as it's helpful to other bands to know that no matter what, the world is what you make of it. You have so much control. In fact, what made me feel crazy about how much control that a band can have over themselves. Mm-hmm. If you ask Siri, or what is the Amazon search assistant there?
Oh,
I forget the other one.
It's Siri and
Asana or something.
Yeah,
yeah,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Anyway, these goddamn home devices. If you go, hey Siri, who is the greatest band of all time? Can you believe that the first result it tells you? Well, the greatest band of all time was the first LP by ArnoCorps. So it's wild that in the entire world, anybody on the planet, if they ask who is the greatest band of all time, ArnoCorps is the result. That's wild.
That is pretty wild. That's pretty rad.
And that was self-fulfilled because we named our record that. You know why we named our record the greatest band of all time?
Why
we knew. Well, first of all, because we wanted to evoke a sense of self-determination, and a view of yourself that is confident. We wanted to inspire people. Like, come on! What is ballsier than calling yourself the greatest band of all time? Which at the time when we started the record, we'd only been around 4 years, maybe. We'd only played live at little venues around the Bay Area. But we come out, we're the greatest band of all time. We also called it that because we knew if this record was reviewed, and even if they fucking hated it, he was forced to write in black and white, in ink, ArnoCorps, the greatest band of all time, no matter what. Even if they thought we could still do a poll quote. Come on, Newsweek says ArnoCorps, the greatest band of all time, which would be technically correct if they printed the name of the record. Ballsy!
That is epic. That is a very good plan. I like that. So even bad reviews come out, call you the greatest band of all time. That's amazing.
Oh, exactly. Even if they said this is more like the worst band of all time, even if they said something like that, we could still take what they wrote in the beginning. This is just the title of the record. Because that's what they do for movies, right? Movie reviews. You look at the trailers, and they have the poll quote.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant, outstanding. But you put the 3 dots before and after. They just take that one section. We knew. No matter who reviewed it, we could get the ballsy, unbelievable review.
That is amazing.
So that was, I don't know if you had any more questions about the Very Pure show, but that was our... And we didn't know if we would do more. We did not at the time have another show booked. But sure enough, we were asked to perform. Immediately after that performance, we booked 3 more shows of just being asked to perform, including headlining a metal festival out in Brentwood, in the East Bay. Brentwood, they were doing Metal Stock or something like that. And they asked ArnoCorps because they said, holy shit, you're on tour from Austria? We got to take advantage of this while you're out here. The word is already spreading about ArnoCorps. You guys come and headline this festival. It was our 3rd show ever.
That's amazing.
They put our name on the T-shirt, on the official T-shirt for Metal Stock. ArnoCorps listed as the headliners in the back of the shirt right now. Come on!
That is perfect.
That was ballsy.
That is amazing.
So you can see for us, we're going, what the fuck? Half of the band had never even performed on stage before. And now we're headlining a festival, a metal festival. But it was because we decided, right out of the gate, we are ballsy, we are heroic. We're larger than life. That's what we were trying to project, and it worked. And I think that second show was probably Burnt Ramen. We probably should credit Burnt Ramen as much as for the early days of ArnoCorps. Probably more so than Gilman Street. We're probably more of a Burnt Ramen band than the Gilman Street band.
See, that's amazing.
Because we did more shows, and we recorded our first 2 demos at Burnt Ramen.
I should mention for people listening, Burnt Ramen is a club that's in the Bay Area that unfortunately was just recently shut down. It was
Richmond.
It was a Richmond-based club that people lived and played shows at. And in the wake of the ghost ship fire that happened here in Oakland last year, that took the lives of a number of people. The Bay Area has cracked down in a lot of small venues and artist places, like the pop-up venues and warehouse spots. So just to give everyone a little bit of context, that's what happened. The club that he is crediting is now gone.
Right.
And it was the source of a lot of bands. Yeah, and it's always a heartbreaker. It's a heartbreaker when
we had. I believe that we probably made more connections with other bands through beer and ramen than probably to any other, because the communal vibe at these warehouse shows was irreplaceable. You can't even compare it to any place else, because you're on these shows that are completely DIY. But we still took the approach, no matter who we were performing with, we still took that approach. We're ArnoCorps. We're doing something very special. And that is when bands, our peers, would acknowledge it and go, hey, that is fantastic. We like you guys. Let's do more shows together. Because then we became known as a party atmosphere type of band that you were guaranteed to have fun, which was cool to be known for in those early days. It wasn't until around 2004, 2005, we had some lineup changes. We brought in De Wolf. 2003, we brought in Valmir Klemf. Then we began, at that time, putting more focus on musicianship. We decided, we have to have respect for the music. We need to make sure that it is compelling, that it's as impressive as the way we are performing, because we were performing wild, very active on stage, running around, including the audience as much as we could. But our songs were more rudimentary in the very beginning so that we could play them while running around. So the bass player, while he's cloud surfing, he could continue to play that bass line because it is not too complicated. But when we were blessed with more talented musicians in the band, we always embrace our strengths. So we had the strengths of our first lineup, which of course had still current members, Enzo de Barracuda and Eric Nagelbett, and Toten Adler, who is still an auxiliary troupe for ArnoCorps. We embraced what we were best at the time, except for Nagelbett. We had no idea that he was such an amazing guitar player. So we had him back there on drums, not realizing that this guy is, in my opinion, one of the most talented guitar players in the world and songwriters.
I didn't realize that he was on drums. He's such a good guitarist. He is so good.
He's incredible. Yeah, we had no idea.
Oh wow!
And so we had my wife and Enzo de Barracuda on guitar in the beginning, and Toten Adler on bass. And Toten was completely self-taught. I think the first song he ever performed was the first practice ArnoCorps get together. He's like, "Come on, I want to be an ArnoCorps. I'll learn how to play bass." God damn it!
That is amazing.
And he was in the band for a good 10 years.
Wow!
He became a legend himself, and now he is back on auxiliary troops. He is going to, anytime Carl cannot perform, we'll get Toten in there. That's how we got to start. But the very first show was so important. I think for a lot of bands listening to your podcast, a lot of times that first show, no disrespect, but it is a little bit of a throwaway for most of the bands. It is sort of this first experience, just getting the feet wet. And usually it's funny, it's a good story, it's a learning experience for sure. Mm-hmm. But for ArnoCorps, that first show actually huge significance, because we ran off of the momentum of that first show and people talking about it. I mean, the rest of the year we booked up shows. We started playing 4 times a month, and it was all people coming to us asking ArnoCorps to perform. We weren't even trying to book our own shows. We were getting asked. So it was really cool. And it was no accident. It was really, we built up it was like, and I had never done anything like that before. It was really just trying to be innovative, think outside of the box. What is a way that we can create an experience? Whether you are learning about ArnoCorps online or seeing the flyer on this, we are creating an experience. And that is what we have done from the beginning. Of course, the band now has completely transformed. Our values have changed. Our approach to performing have changed. I shouldn't say our values changed. The core values is the same, but in terms of the elements that we were putting more attention on have shifted. We
I
put
understand that.
More. Exactly. That has to change. But it evolved. For example, the first show, we weren't calling the crowd heroes and sheroes. We weren't saying, you're all goddamn heroes. That came later. In the beginning, the very beginning, it was really very much ArnoCorps are your heroes. It was more self-centered. We were projecting ourselves as larger than life at the time. But as the years went by and we started meeting and greeting with the crowd, we realized that it's not about ArnoCorps. It's about the audience. It's about their experience and them realizing that they are the heroes. They have the potential to be the goddamn heroes, whether it is just that night or the next day when they're going to an interview for a new job, whatever. We wanted to motivate them and bolster their confidence and make them just feel pumped about themselves. And we found that the more we made the audience feel good about themselves in their own self-perception, that would reflect back on us on stage. So we're boosting them and saying, come on, look at you goddamn heroes out there. Hey, look at those biceps and triceps. We'll compliment the muscles. It doesn't matter. We just compliment the crowd. Tell them how fantastic they are. Sure enough, by the time we're hitting the stage, if we've been mingling all night, they're on board. They're on our team. And that is also a little secret to the success of our live shows with ArnoCorps is that crowd interaction. We are not shy. We get out there, meet and greet as many people in the crowd as we can before, because we're a rescue team. Mm-hmm. We're all on the same team. We want to make sure that they know for that night they are part of ArnoCorps. Goddamn fantastic.
It is fantastic, and I think that's a very significant part about your band's approach is that it brings in people. And it makes everybody that is probably the most punk rock thing about your band is that when you approach shows, there's very little separating the band and the audience. The audience is just as important at your shows and as the band itself. And I think the best bands, that is the case. Like the audience itself, it becomes an active participant in that. And sometimes if you separate that out too much, you start to lose that amazing quality a band has to motivate people and to really, really affect people for a night. All right, so that is a fantastic.
That is just. Go on. That's just how that wasn't even a concerted strategy. There's something that we stumbled upon over time. So I would encourage other bands also be aware of, notice those things that make a difference, because it was, we just noticed the difference in response at a show where maybe we were stuck backstage for whatever reason and we didn't get to interact, and we come on stage and we perform. But versus another show where, hey, fuck it, come on, we're hanging out, we're watching the opening bands, and we're mingling with the crowd, and then the reaction with those shows. So we tried to be very aware, just be perceptive. That it would be a message that I would hear for other bands.
And that's a significant one, I think, and it is true. I've found that to be the case in my own shows. The difference between interacting and being part of the show before you play, and versus to hiding away and then making an appearance. I mean, there's an argument for both. There is, but
to be fair, my advice is, if there is a band, of course, that exists that are comprised of dickheads and assholes, I would recommend to you stay backstage. Don't mingle. You're going to turn everyone against you.
You're going to break it up.
We should be truthful, right?
Yeah, no, that's true. And it's true. It's hide away those members. You know which members are good with the audience and which ones of your band are not. You hide those ones away. That's
not every band
epic.
Can be ArnoCorps.
No, not every band can. All right, fantastic. So, that in mind, I must ask, what was one of the best shows that ArnoCorps has performed?
Well, Dominic,
And I know that's
would
tough.
you be open? Would you be open to a suggestion right now
All right.
from Holzfeuer?
I am completely open to a suggestion.
I have a suggestion, and that you might not want to take this suggestion down the line from here on out, but for today, for our interview, I am going to suggest, based on my own understanding of the power of mythology in the heroic story, the heroic archetype. There is an archetype to the hero's tale, and that has to do with overcoming adversity and the big win at the end. So I think what would be better, of course, we have Beer Show, but now maybe this would be the time that you encounter trouble. This is where you encounter adversity. This is where we talk about maybe the worst show you've ever had. So you've now trials and tribulations. That way we end with the best show of all time.
I think that's a fantastic suggestion. That's a fantastic suggestion. So tell me about that's good. That's true. That is the way it would normally flow. I've debated about what order I tell everybody. I have everyone tell the stories. There was a show where I've switched them, and I felt like that was thematically better. But in this case, for sure, let's go with
in this case show. Because the theme we're dealing with heroic archetypes, and which of course I am well schooled. So I'll have to tell you about our worst show.
All right, let's hear the story.
I thought about this a while because, it's hard because you could pick a show, perhaps one where I was sick and I lost my voice and I had to go out there and perform feeling like I should have been hooked up to an IV in a goddamn emergency room in intensive care. You could call that the worst show, but goddamn it, that's an opportunity right there. The fact that I overcame and still accomplished and performed,
it's amazing.
Hey, that's not a bad show in the end, right? And then there are other bad stories where maybe there was something that happened in the crowd that ruined. For example, the first time we played in Newcastle, we had a show cut off early. And that was a major bummer. But at the same time, the guy that was injured that caused the ambulance to come out, and we formed a bond with him. So I would feel bad to say that it is the worst show ever. So I have in mind the worst ArnoCorps show that was ever booked.
Oh, okay.
Now, keep in mind, I'm going to go back. Now that you understand the criteria, the way my mindset is, but it's the worst ArnoCorps. How can there be a bad ArnoCorps show?
It's like pizza.
Damn it, with our approach, how would this happen? Well, I'll tell you. Around 2009, I believe, or 2010. Keep in mind, around this time in California, we had a governor. His name was Arnold Schwarzenegger, or Schwarzenstrudel. Wait. Schwarzenegger.
There you go.
He was the governor, of course, who is from the same country that I am from. So we have certain things in common beyond pumping iron stogies and Humvees. We had other things in common having to do with the country we are from and the fact that we both immigrated to California. Hey, respect too. He did it before me. But what my motivation is different. However, he became governor, and I'm thinking, hey, is he trying to be more like ArnoCorps? Because we had been a band performing in California 3 years before the recall election. A lot of people don't realize that because we raised in notoriety after he became governor. We became more well-known because, hey, suddenly we're topical rather than being completely random and obscure, which we'll admit when we started. We were completely random and obscure compared to people's expectations. And in my opinion, that was a strength. So suddenly, without our own doing, ArnoCorps has become relevant to news, to topics in world news. Arnold Schwarzenegger has become the governor of California, where ArnoCorps is performing and saying that he has bastardized and exploited the ancient law of Austria. We said at our very earliest shows that Arnold character, beware, he's utilized this heroic folklore, the ancient lore, the heroic archetypes, and depicted himself as the hero. Why would you do that? Why would you depict yourself as the hero, as opposed to ArnoCorps depicting the crowd as the heroes and inspiring you to achieve your greatest? He's more depicting himself that way. Why is he doing it? He's rising to power. And people thought that was our on-stage banter to laugh and giggle. Ha ha! It's funny. Arnold making movies to rise to power. Sure enough, recall elections, and everybody's like, holy shit! ArnoCorps was right. ArnoCorps totally predicted that. So we were like, who's laughing now? Damn it. Now will you take ArnoCorps more serious when we are telling a message for people, which I think luckily people do. So Arnold has become governor. We put out a new record. We are on a roll. We got an NBC News story talking about ArnoCorps taking back the heroic folklore, exposing Arnold. So we booked an audio assault in Sacramento for the first time. We got to go perform in Sacramento. Now, prior to that, we had tried to book a show at Sacramento, and literally the day before our performance, the fire marshal of Sacramento was sent into the venue, and they shut it down the day before ArnoCorps was going to perform. Keep in mind, while Arnold is governor, living in Sacramento, right there in control. Coincidence, maybe. I don't know. ArnoCorps coming to Sacramento, right in your doorstep. What would you do? Who is, depending on how you look at it, maybe tarnishing your name, maybe trying to get people to look at you with a different slant, as if we needed to do that. Everyone already was, but anyway, we were doing it through music, which of course is powerful medium that motivates people more with more emotion. So we tried to book this show. I forget the venue. They shut it down. The fire marshal shuts it down. Blah. Then we booked another show. Again, while he is governor. And that one gets just dropped completely like a week before for some reason. We're like, what the fuck? We've never had shows canceled, ever. We had done hundreds of shows already. Never had a show canceled. But two are canceled in Sacramento. Coincidence? I'm not a conspiracy theorist. However, other people are, and everyone was telling us. That is because of Arnold. Each time it's been canceled due to a government intervention, whether the fire marshal or something else, a code not being up. So we're like, what the fuck is going on? It starts to make you a little paranoid, right? So we're wondering, what the fuck? But, I'm not that cynical. I'm like, hey, it's just coincidence. All right, let's book another show. This time at a known bar through a booking agent. They're in business all the time. They're open every night. There won't be any risk. How are you going to shut down a bar that's open every night? Because the other two, they're the punk rock venues. So this time, come on, it's at a bar. And we booked it around a whole tour, a West Coast tour. So we go down to L.A. and through here, play Oakland, all that. We head out to Sacramento. We get to the venue. Believe it or not, there's already a fan there. And it's like early in the day. It's like 4 p.m. We have a fan there from Manchester, England. He had flown from England out to California to catch a couple of our West Coast performances.
Wow.
And he told us he was coming, but I did not believe him until I saw him there sitting at the bar. Like, I don't know how much he has spent at the bar already. He said he'd been there all day waiting for ArnoCorps. And I'm like, his name is Reggie. Reggie, unbelievable. Good to meet you in person, whatever. He had seen us on one of our previous UK tours. He flies out to see ArnoCorps, and we're like, this is unbelievable. So, of course, the bar staff, there was this one person working the bar. It's like super pumped, like, oh, you guys are incredible. You have fans flying out here from the UK to see you here perform our little bar. Fantastic. Hey, great. Let's load in. We're loading in. We set up the entire stage. We brought with us a band from Santa Cruz called Good Neighbor Policy, a fantastic punk band from Santa Cruz. So they are on board. We're like, finally, we're playing Sacramento. Well, as we're setting up, we're all set. We start sound check. Then the sound guy disappears. He just completely disappears. And he comes back and said, hey, guys, load your equipment back out. The show's canceled.
What?
And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? We're on stage. You already have a guy here at the bar who, to be honest, probably spent so much money at the bar buying drinks. At the time, he was a heavy drinker. I just saw him recently. He no longer drinks at all anymore. He's completely sober. But at the time, he was a heavy drinker. He probably gave them so much money at the bar, they were able to close early. So they have no more motivation to even keep the venue open. So I'm like, bullshit. Let me talk to the owner. Where's the owner? Oh, he's going to be here in about 40 minutes, whatever. We're like, what the fuck? We're refusing to take the equipment off stage. A few people start showing up. Of course, it's still early. But by the time, like, 8 p.m. rolls around, the owner is just adamant. He said, load your equipment out. We're closing the bar. We're closed for the night. Like, are you fucking kidding me? What are you talking? We have a guarantee. You have to pay us. He's like, we're not going to pay you. You're not performing. I said, we have a guarantee through your booker. Who was our booker? Who booked the show? It became this whole bizarre, weird thing. And he kept getting back on the phone. He wouldn't tell me who he was talking to. And he just kept insisting, the show is over, the show is over. I was not going to leave there empty-handed. So I made sure that he took care of the support band that we brought, gave them a couple cases of beer, gave ArnoCorps a couple cases of beer. We said, fine, we're not going to fight this any further. If you don't want to host the greatest show of all time here at your venue, if you want to disappoint people showing up, that's on you. So that was, we loaded up equipment. We're in the parking lot. Fans started showing up right around door time, and we literally selling CDs and T-shirts out of our van in the parking lot. That was the worst ArnoCorps show of all time, because the show ended up basically being ArnoCorps selling our merch table items in a parking lot of a bar because they wouldn't allow us. To this day, I don't know why they shut us down, but of course, everyone assumes it had to do. Everyone said you would never play Sacramento as long as Arnold is governor.
Wow.
And that remained the truth.
That did.
We never performed.
It proved to be true.
It proved to be true. We never performed it, but we still haven't been back. So we'll have to go back. We'll have to book a show in Sacramento now. I don't think we've played Sacramento.
That's crazy.
No, we still haven't, I don't think. Someone might correct me and say, fuck you. How can you forget playing Sacramento? But I don't remember. I don't think we ever. I know for a fact we never did while he was governor. That is a fact. So that is the worst gig ever. And I would call it a gig because it was booked and we loaded a gear.
You did.
We got an hour sit on stage. We even did sound check.
Wow.
They pulled the plug on us under very, very mysterious circumstance. The owner wouldn't say why. He just said that we're going to lose money. Our security guy, the sound guy, we won't be able to afford everybody. It was a bunch of bullshit. They dropped the 6 of us in the meat grinder.
Crazy. That's crazy. Okay, so, that's fair. That counts. Yeah, that's a show.
Worst show ever.
All right.
God damn it. My theory is they were fueled 100% by money. They needed the minimum for the day. And with our fan that flew from England, got there early in the day, drank all day, probably spent hundreds, maybe $1,000. Who the fuck knows? Because he was buying drinks for everybody at the bar. They closed early. God damn it.
So, wow. All right. Damn. So
fuck.
then,
Worse. Terrible.
All right. So after facing this adversity of having Sacramento block you and not let you let you bring
Blacklist.
it down, anything they could do.
Right.
So after that, what would have been ArnoCorps' triumphant best show ever?
The best show ever. And I have to admit, even if our best show ever did not happen as the most recent show that we've done, I would lie and say it still was. But I am so fucking lucky that the most recent show that ArnoCorps has performed was the greatest show of all time. Which was, of course, London, England, at Camden Underworld, which is a legendary rock venue right in Camden Town in London. July 29th. Come on. It's August now. July 29th, 2017. This is the setting. Let me tell you, we had put together our 6th ever headline tour of the United Kingdom in Ireland for ArnoCorps. We had been going out there since 2006, and then we went in 2008, and then 2012, and 2014, 2015, and now we're going back 2017. 6th time ever. It's 11-year anniversary from the first time that we went to England and Ireland. But this tour is special. You know why, Dominic? You know why? We just released new music on Alternative Tentacles with guest vocals on there from Jello Biafra himself on Handsome Stranger, guest vocals from Jesse Luscious we were hearkening back to his days in Blacks on Mr. Freeze with Tonight, Hell Freeze is Over. We were pumped on this music. We were thinking this is our best new record. This is our first new record that from start to finish with the label. Everything else we had ever done was self-released, then later licensed to a record label, every previous release. This is the first one, start to finish, a record for a label, which is also one of the favorite labels of all time, Alternative Tentacles, which you are very familiar with. Come on!
Very familiar, yes,
so
it's true.
Is very legendary record label. So we're riding on a high here. So many years from the time that we had started, we are still pushing the limits. We are still accomplishing things we had never accomplished before. So we are saying this, we are calling this now the unbelievable era of ArnoCorps. We're going to go out there, make sure that nobody views us as a nostalgia act, because we've been out there so many years now. The people that were children, 16 out of first time they saw ArnoCorps, we are returning now. They're approaching 30 years old now, and they have children. Like, that's how long we've been doing this. And so much of our approach has been similar in terms of what we would play with the music before we hit the stage. Our approach to the set list, even, that we would always start with the Arno intro and then Predator every show. And we decided this is the unbelievable era. It's a reinvention. We got to let everybody know we're not a nostalgia act. We are not time for you getting older to revisit your teen years. This is now the greatest experience of ArnoCorps you ever going to experience. Everything was a setup for now. Everything was just a build to this moment. You didn't even realize you were just training. This is just preliminary. This is like all those earlier tours and performances and all that. That was a setup for the greatest ArnoCorps experience that we're about to unleash, so we could reinvent ourselves. So this is the kind of energy that we have going into this tour. Mm-hmm. We're starting a set with brand new music. This is risky, as you know. If you're a band that's been around a long time, you usually want to start with an old staple that is a guaranteed favorite of the crowd.
Right.
To get them enthused and excited about. But you know what? We're going to be ballsy. We're going to start our set with something brand new just to convey to them this is new. We're still innovating. We're still doing new things here. We are still introducing new songs. So we're starting every night with the unbelievable intro. And during the intro, I tell the crowd as I'm crouched at the front of the stage, the impossible. It becomes possible when you believe. The unbelievable. And then I wave the banner of ArnoCorps, the flag. This is time to inspire the crowd that you've seen nothing yet. This is up to you. You could dictate your own experience. We're taking the view in the world. There are three people in most scenarios. There is a villain, there is a victim, and there is a hero. And so much of this is embodied any way you want to look at it. I believe, we in ArnoCorps believe, that in every scenario you have the choice, even if you are the victim, for example, or you're in a situation where you find yourself, God damn it, that scenario, based on what I've been enlightened to, maybe I was the villain in that area. If you're self-aware to see both sides of everything, in every circumstance, you can choose to be the hero. And that is the message of ArnoCorps. It is a fucking choice. Every time you wake up in the morning, you can decide, am I going to be the victim? Am I going to be a villain? Or am I going to be a goddamn hero? And to be completely inclusive, of course, we don't want to be entirely testosterone-driven in ArnoCorps. Sheroes, a hero or shero, that is who you can determine yourself to be, however you identify. And that is full force the message of ArnoCorps that we wanted to embrace on this tour. Before we get to the final song, we made sure that it was very clear. Heroism is a choice. God damn it. And God damn it, it's an opportunity right there. An opportunity to express who you are, what you goddamn stand for. So we got through this tour so smooth. We did 10 shows in 12 days. And of course, heading into the final audio assault in London, we always like to finish our tours out there in London. At the end of the world now is our new home away from home. We get to spend some time with the crowd before. We love signing records, posing for photos with you, feeling the pump, seeing how everybody is embracing their own inner hero in the way they're addressing and expressing themselves. They are wearing the face paint. They are wearing their own rescue team attire. They're dressed for a rescue mission. They have their own uniforms, their own teams they assembled with their friends. We love that someone will assemble all of their friends. So they'll come out maybe as many as like 8 people in a group that will come out together. They travel together. They were eating lunch earlier. They went out for drinks, and then they come in for ArnoCorps, and then they team up with the other teams that have formed. Maybe it's just a married couple that they got the babysitter for the night. They got all dressed up for ArnoCorps. They put on the face paint. They are prepared. And it was just the two of them. So they're seeing this other group over there of all these heroes, and they'll team up with them for the night and so forth. We noticed the bonding. Everybody in the crowd, July 29th in London, our most recent show, we are buzzing off of this. Electricity is so thick you could kill it with a knife in that room right there in the ear. And we're just feeling so positive. Everybody is smiling. There's not a hint of cynicism in the crowd. Everybody is so gung-ho about what they are not just going through experience with ArnoCorps, but what they're experiencing now. From the time they arrive, they're all pumped up. Everyone in the crowd is becoming friends from all walks of life. And that is what is so fantastic. With ArnoCorps, not everybody is from a particular music scene. So many people, we'll get a lot of like gamers, people involved in video games, or artists, people involved in different types of media types. they will latch on to the fact that with ArnoCorps, it is more an experience rather than just a music scene, right? So we are seeing such a blend of people that are hardcore metalheads. You know, we met the people that saw us for the first time at Bloodstock Festival in 2015. They are coming out to see ArnoCorps at a venue that only holds 600 people. They said, we want to see you in front of 600 instead of 6,000 because we know that will be different. And they're all right. Yeah. And everybody in the crowd that we are meeting has their own story. They have their own adventure that brought them to that moment. So we are now becoming, as a band, part of the story of each person in the crowd. Can you imagine how much that pumps us up? It's one thing to notice it after the fact, but to know it at the time, to have that feeling, I am getting the goosebumps right now, to know that you are becoming part of the story of so many people at the same time. And how do you capitalize on that? How do you embrace it? You need to be 100% self-aware. Let them know that you appreciate that they are there. This is the best experience that I can have in my life right now. This is what it's all about. God damn it, Dominic! If it all ends the next day, am I going to have regrets? No! Because that moment is the greatest experience that I can have, whether it's in a band or as just a participant on this planet, in this world. We're all just participants. It's like a fucking game sometimes where you have to decide the rules. You have to decide your participation. How far are you going to go? How much are you going to embrace what is going on right now in this moment? So that is what we are projecting everybody in the band. We are feeling pumped. We get back. My wife is there too. She just came back from France. She was on a tour with Into the Barracuda, our bass player. His wife went with my wife to France while we're on tour. They come back for this London show. So there is House Duke in the crowd. Hey, this is fantastic. This is really feeling like home now. There is Elise, Enzo's wife, there in the crowd. There is Nagobet's wife there. So three of the wives of the band are now in the crowd witnessing for themselves the magic that their husbands get to be a part of, which is so special. And it's crazy because we did no press for this tour. Zero. We didn't invite reviewers. We didn't we didn't try to do any kind of campaign. This was pure DIY. This was pure the fans dictating what the event was. There was nothing beyond that. It was pure. So that's what I liked about this one in particular compared to previous tours, which were sponsored by, like, you know, getting reviewed by Kerrang! Magazine or Metal Hammer, or sponsored by Terrorizer, which we appreciate the sponsorships and all that, but there's something when you break it down to the bare essentials, where it is just our fans, just the new fans, the old fans, the band, together, pure party. I mean, this has no outside influence. It is all about how can we make this the best night of our lives. Come on! So you better believe by the time the song right before I said was Yakety Yak by the Coasters, which was exploited in the movie Twins. Mm-hmm. And which is appropriate because we're about to take back all of the comedic Austropoitation. I have not mentioned the unbelievable new record. We finally, for the first time, are taking back for the people Junior, Twins, Kindergarten Cop, Cactus Jack, a.k.a. the villain, Handsome Stranger, Jingle All the Way. We are taking these back for the people, which people have requested from the time ArnoCorps started. But we, in the early days, did not want to do the comedic Austropoitation films because we didn't want everyone to dismiss ArnoCorps as a comedy act, which would be easy to do because people do have so much fun, and we do like to tell funny stories between songs. So people do laugh at our shows, but we never want to be seen as comedy, pure and simple. It's true, you know, laughing is good for your abdominals. It is good for physical fitness, which we are huge proponents of. But we didn't want it to be the focus, to be pigeonholed as a comedy band. So if we did these songs early, we knew we would be dismissed. But the crowd, now they know ArnoCorps. We've been around 17 years. You know not to dismiss what we're doing. You know there's something more. You know there is something deep going on beneath the surface layer, like peeling the onion right there. So now it is safe. We can now address these stories. And you know, Dom, you know what I love about these stories?
Yeah.
Not just that they make people laugh and they make your abdominals more ripped. It could give you six pack from listening to it. What I really enjoy, I don't know if you noticed, there is an underlying theme of family on the whole EP, on the whole record. From the start to the finish, it is different aspects of family. And for ArnoCorps, family doesn't just need to be limited to who you are related to by blood, but this could be your extended family, especially in music. So many of us, our family becomes our band, or maybe our family becomes the crew that we go to shows to, you know, with a group of punk rockers from Richmond or from the East Bay, or if you're some metalheads from Newcastle, England. It doesn't matter. That can become your family. So each song had underlying message about that. So that is what I really like. So we conveyed that everybody in that crowd, whether you're even related, whether you knew, we were all from different places, but for that night, that moment, we're all twins, God damn it. Only our mother could tell us apart. And that was the vibe that we were embracing. We were family in that room. And let me tell you, even our new song, so many people in the crowd singing along, you know, as a performer and a musician yourself, when you see the audience in unison coming back to you even louder than you are projecting to them all the words of the songs that you wrote, that is a powerful feeling.
Very. It's crazy, especially the new songs. It means everything.
Yeah, exactly. That is, especially if, you know, we try to have very catchy choruses, but you never know the ones that are going to resonate. But after the first chorus, that they get it, where the whole crowd in unison, by the time the second chorus comes, they're singing it back to you. Success right there, Dominic. That is success. And we had that night, and it was just perfect. The perfect show. I was so pumped. It was the end of the perfect tour. This tour went off without a hitch. There was so much stress before. Like, we didn't know if we were even going to get our records done in time. They were getting pressed. We had to get them shipped next day air to get out there in time for a fierce show. We had all the logistical issues we were running into. In fact, the lineup that we performed with, which was the full lineup that we had recorded the record with, which we always prefer to tour with when we can, we had not performed together at a show in over a year before this tour. So that was pretty wild. You know, you start a 10-show headline tour, and the members hadn't even played as a unit in over a year. Come on! That's an opportunity to prove something, right?
No, it is. That's intense. That's impressive.
That's what I like. When you have things working against you, I never view that as something to be sad about. That is more often than not, when you hear something working against you, you can, if you choose, make it an opportunity to express who you are and what you stand for. So when you hear hardship, has there ever been a hero that did not have hardship? You can't. That is the very definition of a hero. It's impossible to be a hero unless you overcome, right?
Right. It's true.
So that is the message of ArnoCorps. And God damn it, Dominic. So I wanted to leave it on a high. That was the best show, and I would encourage every band in the world, whether you're just forming it now or you've been around for 20 fucking years, if you're not endeavoring to make your most recent performance the greatest of your life, I'm sorry, I don't give a fuck who you are, what you've accomplished in the past, who you think you are, how famous you are, what kind of attitude and self-perception you have. If you're not doing that, you're fucking it up. You're not doing it right. That's just where I'm coming from. That is the ArnoCorps attitude.
Find out who is the best. I'm not been beaten for the last 7 years. Milk is for babies. When you grow up, you have to drink beer.
You've been listening to Holzfeuer, founder and vocalist of ArnoCorps. You can find out more about ArnoCorps and Holzfeuer at ArnoCorps.com. That's ArnoCorps.com. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. If you've enjoyed the show, check out our website at 3gigspodcast.com to find extras related to all of our episodes, like live footage of ArnoCorps, which witnesses have claimed that after watching, they find themselves with increased muscle mass, a better understanding of life's mysteries, and feeling like goddamn heroes and sheroes. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram by searching 3 Gigs Podcast. And if you really like the show, please do me a favor and take a moment to review us and give us a rating on the 3 Gigs iTunes page. It really does help us reach new people, and it would mean a lot. Just search for us in the iTunes search and leave a rating and review. The theme songs for this episode have been Mr. Freeze off of the Unbelievable EP out on August 25th on Alternative Tentacles Records, and Pumping Iron off of the 7-inch Two More, also out on Alternative Tentacles Records and available now. Thank you so much for listening. This is our Season 1 finale, and I hope you've enjoyed our first 25 episodes. It has been my honor to introduce you to so many of my talented friends, and my pleasure to meet so many more friends that are amazingly talented and creative people on the show so far. Please continue to tell people about the show and spread the word. We're going to take a few weeks to organize Season 2 of 3 Gigs, and I don't think you'll believe some of the amazing people who are going to be on the show this next season. I might actually get a few members of my band Tsunami Bomb on the show. That would be amazing, right? Crazy. Anyway, I'm really excited about it. It's going to be a great season, and I hope you'll be there with me. Thank you so much for your support, your subscriptions, your reviews, your suggestions, and your comments. We're going to see you soon. My name is Dominic Davey, and this is 3 Gigs.
It's perfect already.
If you listen to this podcast, chances are you like music, and if you like music, you probably wear a lot of t-shirts, or at the very least know someone who does. Well, why not get brand new, blank, fresh, clean t-shirts sent directly to you? Well, you can. FreshCleanTees.com works like a shave club, but instead of razors, they send you super soft, affordable t-shirts. And getting it all going is easy. You choose between monthly, bi-monthly, or quarterly delivery options, answer a few questions about your favorite styles, your size, and what colors you like, and you're good to go. Fresh Clean Tees likes 3 Gigs so much, they have a special offer for all of our listeners. You can head over to freshcleantees.com right now and use promo code GIG for 20% off your very first order. That's promo code GIG at checkout and get 20% off your first order. Now, I love the t-shirts they sent me, and I know you'll love yours. So head over to freshcleantees.com right now and use order code GIG while you can.
Ballsy. Of course. Thank you, Dominic. I'll leave you at that. I know you have work to do and places to be. So do I. Come on.
Well, have a great one, man.
Party.
Thank you so much.
All right. See you at the party.
All right. See you later today. Amazing.